Hey, just a little video from myself here, Mr. David McQueen. Yesterday I was, or the last, well, yesterday and the day before, I was doing some training with a client of mine in Canary Wharf. And it was part of my 2 day workshop called Presenting with Confidence. And as you can guess, it's a public speaking and presentation skills workshop that I do for bigger clients. And one of the things that came up for me was around anxiety and how you deal with anxiety when you're speaking. Now, a couple of things I should make really clear. Anxiety, especially performance anxiety, and when people get those really kind of like those palpitations in your heart, you get a really tight feeling in your stomach, and sometimes it can be really painful. Sometimes when you get the really sweaty palms and you just feel like the world is like crushing on you, it's nothing to be sniffed at, and I think it's a really serious issue. Often I see people kind of like dismiss it by just having positive beliefs, and I think it's a deeper issue than that. There are a couple of things I just really want to mention really quickly. At the real extreme level, it could be glossophobia, where you actually have the fear, and there can be a real strong anxiety about just having to stand up in front of individuals, whether it's a small audience or a larger audience, and being able to present. And I think that it's really important when that happens consistently to check out whether it's a serious anxiety condition that you need to have therapy or, in some cases, medication to actually deal with. Um, I don't like it as a presentation coach when people dismiss it and they just think it's just a little bit of a psychological block. I think it's more than that. And yes, you do have various therapies from CBT to psychoanalytical to all the different therapies that trained people who have worked around the brain and have worked in the areas of anxiety can actually deal with. If, however, it is not as extreme as that, there are a couple of exercises that I'd really like to recommend to people that they can do. So the first one is I believe it's about practice. When you really, really know your content, just practice. Just think about the way you're going to start and end your presentation and what you want to have in the middle as well. Whether it's a meeting, a webinar, a lecture, or a big speech that you have to give. But just being able to practice it, because having that practice builds the confidence. The second one I think is really important is about your physical being. And often people really tense up in their shoulders, and I've coached loads of people just before they've gone on, and I've had to make sure that they're not tense here or in their hands or in their arms or their body, because your body's an instrument. So there are a couple of exercises I think you could do, from rolling your head and rolling your neck around to the left, to the right, stretching your body out, running on the spot, but just doing stuff to release that adrenaline in your body and allow yourself not to be tense and to effectively be okay. And the last one for me is just around breathing, and breathing from your diaphragm. So put your hand on your diaphragm before you're going to go. So just underneath your sternum by your rib cage, and put your hand on your diaphragm, or your stomach if you want to call it that way. And just before you go to speak, just breathe in, and your stomach should go out, and then breathe out, and then your stomach should deflate. Breathe in again, and then breathe out. And just try this a couple of times when you have to go and do a presentation. It's a great way, again, unless you have extreme anxiety and you do need the coaching, the counseling, and the medication to support that. I would recommend just try that a couple of times. I was saying to the group yesterday, just before you go to do a presentation, 2 or 3 minutes before you present, go to the bathroom to say you're going to go and get, have a comfort break. And while you're in there, do your breathing exercises, do your stretching, rehearse kind of like how you're going to start it up, be really fired up. Come back into the room, don't talk to anybody, don't get distracted, stand up there and just go straight into the presentation that you're going to do. I hope that helps. It's just a small way of being able to help people to tackle performance anxiety. And yes, when I'm training and coaching, I go a bit deeper, but I think it's really good to have that as a basis. So let me know if you're a speaker and you ever have anxiety and these are the things you're up against. Tell me how those exercises work for you. The practice, so you're preparing, so you're not kind of like, you're not worried. Doing the stretching, so making sure your body's in good condition, and then also doing the breathing. Let me know in the comments if that's worked for you and if you've got any other alternatives that you think has worked for you as well. Thank you very much for listening. Peace.